Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be talking about what is intuition. There's a lot of misconception about intuition. We all have an animal instinct to survive, to avoid being eaten by a predator, and to chase food. So we want to chase food, avoid predator. And this is fear-based thinking. This is our animal instinct to survive. Intuition does not come from your animal instinct to survive. Intuition comes from unconditional love. It comes from God. It comes from the universe. It comes from the divine. It's unconditional love. It comes from your heart. And so if you're making a decision based out of fear of, like, what are people going to say, judgment, or, like, for example, I was thinking about, I wanted to come to Sedona where I am now, but there was a time where I was like, maybe I should go to Montana first because it's cooler. That was a fear-based thought. I was afraid of being uncomfortable. It was not from the heart. My heart wanted me to come to Sedona. And thankfully I spoke to an intuitive friend of mine, and she was like, I think she really felt that I was, being called towards Sedona. She was absolutely right. When I came here and followed my intuition, so much magic started happening. So the goal is to get out of our judgments. The best way that I learned to do that was through the DeMartini method. And I'll put a link down below in the description where you can get plugged into this and start to follow his work. And even on YouTube, he's on here, Dr. John DeMartini. But even then, I was working on my judgments. I was working on, if you judge this as, oh, if I do this thing, it's gonna make me look like a loser. Or what are people gonna think? What's my family gonna think? What are women gonna think about me if I make if I go on this road trip and without a plan, really? I'm just kind of following my guidance, my intuition. Those judgments will keep you from doing what you're being called to do through your intuition and through unconditional love. Intuition is a feeling as well, right? And so for me, in my case, 5 years ago, well, let me backtrack. From the year 2000 to the year 2015, I was on antidepressants. And it was numbing me, right? And I realized in my case that it was just a bunch of emotions that needed to come out. It was a lot of emotions that I would start to feel depressed again, I was depressed, but it was really emotions that just needed to be felt and released and given expression to come out of my body, and just like emotional diarrhea. If you hold that in, right, it's painful. You're running to a bathroom. It's like, Urgh. That is painful. So I didn't know any better. I wasn't raised in a family that praised, where it was okay to express your emotions, where it was safe to express your emotions. So I had all this bottled up emotions, and emotions are based on imbalanced perceptions, right? But in between the emotions, your intuition is also there underneath all the emotions. If you're able to push a button and turn your emotions off, what you have left is your intuition. That's unconditional love. But if you avoid your emotions, you also avoid feelings, and you avoid your intuition, which is also a feeling. Your intuition is a feeling. And for 15 freaking years of my life, I was on and off antidepressants, numbing myself because I had all these emotions that I didn't know how to handle. And I didn't know that was the case. And I was living a life that was not inspiring me, and I was feeling stuck, and I didn't realize I was stuck. It's like being a frog in a pot of boiling water, but not knowing that you're even in a pot of boiling water, and not knowing that you need to get out of the pot of boiling water, and not knowing what you need. So imagine, like, growing up, and what you really want to do is be a musician, but you've sold out, and, like, you've been told that musicians, like, that's a shitty thing to do, and you got to go to college and become an engineer, which is what I did. And I didn't realize that deep down my heart wanted something else, because I just pushed it into my unconscious mind. We subordinate to the opinions of our families, opinions of society, what is deemed successful, all these opinions, and we forget about what we want. So I became depressed, and I was on antidepressants, and that really numbed me to my emotions, numbed me to my intuition. So all those modalities are amazing of of like doing somatic work to feel safer in your nervous system again, to release these emotions that are there that you may not even know are trapped in your body, and to work on the mental side. So it's the mental side, the mental judgments. There's the physical trauma and physical karma that's trapped in our bodies from things we've experienced in this lifetime and even in past lifetimes. And then we have our energy body. And so I love the DeMartini method for the mental side of it. That helped me the most to work on my judgments and to become more unconditionally loving. And the yogic sciences are the most powerful, I believe, to get into your intuition. That's what it's all about. It's about purifying your physical body, purifying your mind, purifying your energy body. We have an energetic body. Purifying all this stuff so that we become more of a clear channel to intuitive guidance. Our intuition comes online. And there are several gurus out there, who, like Indian gurus, who teach you practices that require an initiation. You can learn that same practice without being initiated, and you won't get the same benefits. You won't get the same grace that comes from that lineage. And the practice that I love the most, that has helped me the most to receive this grace, to heal things, we can heal by two ways: by doing hard work and suffering a lot until we just freaking surrender, which part of that happened to me as well, but also from grace. And that's the part I was missing, because anybody who knows me from the past knows that I was all into my personal growth. After I had a breakup in 2019, I spent all my freaking money, all my savings on coaching programs and codependency programs and men's programs and somatic practitioners and all kinds of therapies. And the thing that helped me the most was learning Atma Kriya Yoga, ATMA Kriya Yoga. And the guru's name is Sri Swami Paramahamsa Vishwananda. And the practice that he initiates you into is called Atma Kriya Yoga. It doesn't interfere with your religion. You can be Jewish, you can be Christian. This is about self-realization. It's about purifying your body, purifying your mind, purifying your energetic body, so that you become more of a clear channel to grace. And that grace is the little synchronicities that start happening when you follow your heart and follow your intuition, which comes from your soul. Your intuition comes from your soul, which is the state of unconditional love. And so if you are calling a decision your intuition, but it's really coming from judgment, trying to avoid discomfort, trying to avoid pain, trying to avoid going broke, try to avoid being judged by your family, trying to avoid being judged by the opposite sex, trying to avoid being judged by the society, those are not from your intuition. Those are not from God. God does not judge. God is unconditionally loving. And so is your intuition, which comes from your soul, which comes from God, which is connected to God. And so my biggest advice to you, what helped me so much most on my journey, was to do these yogic practices that require an initiation. Not think and get your ego out of it. Think, oh, I did 200-hour yoga teacher training. I know the yogic sciences, or I go to yoga class. Trust me, it's completely different. There are differences. And when you receive an initiation into a practice, there's just some magic starts happening. You start to receive grace. You start to purify more. And you could also do yoga and actually mess yourself up if you're doing incorrect yoga. The yogic sciences, yoga puts your energies in a certain way. Sadhguru, who's also another guru who has some great practices that you might want to look into. Sadhguru. He's all over YouTube and Instagram. He talks about how yoga is a science of aligning your energies in a certain way. And if you do improper yoga, and just like, you have like traditional classical hatha yoga, they do the same practice every day. It's the same practice. There's no bells and whistles. It's not like nobody's ego is attached to it. It's an ancient practice, thousands of years, that has been passed on and has not been changed, because it works and it aligns your body and your energy bodies in a certain way, as Sadhguru explains. And if you are doing just yoga, today we're doing this flow, today we're doing this flow, tomorrow we're doing this flow, and your energies are all confused, and then you start to attract weird calamities and weird shit happening into your life. And I'll see if I think I have that video saved. I'll put the link in the description to Sadhguru where he talks about this. So pick a practice. Don't have to reinvent the wheel. These are thousands of years practice, old ancient practices. It's much newer than the new technique that someone came up with, right? And these are created by enlightened masters. They have a knowledge of how the body works, how the mind works, how the energy body works, because they've reached a certain level of enlightenment where they understand how it works. How could someone lead you there if they've never been there before? I can't lead you there. I used to think that I can help heal people, and and there's so many people out there calling themselves healers. And we can all help. We're all helpers. We're all guides. I can help you guide. I can help guide you to what's helped me and what I've realized that I know for sure is the truth. It's not a belief. It's things that I know now. Certain things. I have certain things that I like to teach people about codependency and attachment trauma, but it's just a guide. It's learning these skills and learning how to identify where you're stuck and where you're not setting boundaries and where you are avoiding intimacy and where, knowing all that stuff is great, but it's very difficult to put into practice any of that stuff if you have this trauma in your body and these things in your energy field. Working on the energy body is like working on the roots of the tree. When you work on the roots of the tree, the whole tree changes. The fruit changes. But if you just do all this surface stuff and like even the things that I teach, I'm using it as a platform to lead people into these practices that actually heal you at the roots, instead of trimming the leaves and pulling out the bad apples and cutting the trees and working on the limbs. And that's not that the same things are going to grow out of the tree. You got to work on the root, which is the energy body. So again, I went on a whole tangent. This video is about intuition. These practices, as you purify things that are not you from your energy body, purify things that are not you from your mind, purify things that are not you from your body, you start to just become more of a pure channel to God through your soul, through your intuition. And you start to just take your ego out of it and stop thinking that it's you that's doing any of it. It's not me doing any of it. All I got to do, and that's the scary part, we have free will, and free will allows us to do the opposite of what God wants us to do. God has told me to go to Sedona. I could have said, you know what, screw this, I'm going to stay in Miami. I'm afraid. Or I'm going to go to Hawaii because it's cool and I want to show people how cool I am. We have the free will to do something away from what God wants us to do. And we want to think that it's us. We want to think that it's us doing shit, and it's not. Our ego wants to believe that I made this happen. I manifested this. I didn't manifest any of this shit. All I did was start to do these practices, had some ego deaths, which were kind of painful in the process, shedding layers of things that I thought were me that were not me. And now I'm just on for the ride. I'm on the lazy river, and the lazy river is not under my control. The water is pulling me through. All I got to do is release any expectations. If I make a wrong turn on a road, I can't get pissed off. Or, my first day in Sedona, a lady hit my car. I could have gotten mad, but I didn't, because I knew that I was here on purpose. I knew that I was guided here. And because of getting hit by my car, car hit by this lady, I may have saved her life because she was drunk and she hit me making a left turn. She might have driven off a canyon. Look at this. There's no guardrails here. She could have died. And from that, her hitting my car, so much magic has come from that event. So many synchronicities have happened. And I can get angry, which is fear-based. I can judge her, the stupid lady who's drunk. I didn't judge her. I was like, maybe I saved her life. Maybe getting a DUI and going to court will help her go to rehab and get healed. That's unconditional love, right? Trying to be more loving, working on it. So nothing I'm manifesting, nothing happening in my life is for me. I give God all the glory, give God all the credit. I'm just on the lazy river, floating through, knowing that I'm following my heart because I'm not judging myself. I've had moments where I start to judge and I catch myself. Keep doing the practices that purify your body, all your bodies, physical, emotional, energetic. You become more of an intuitive channel. It purifies the fear. These practices purify the fear so that you just start to make decisions based on love. And when you make decisions based on love, magic starts to freaking happen. That's your intuition. Don't follow your animal instincts. You're not an animal. Freaking dogs have an animal instinct. Cats have an animal instinct to avoid getting eaten by dogs, and to go find food, and to procreate, and to follow their sexual desires, which nothing wrong with that. I'm a sexual being myself. But when it becomes an attachment, it becomes a drive. It's like our animal instinct. We want to get out of that animal instinct and live in our divine nature. And magic starts to freaking happen. Follow your intuition. It's not you doing any of it. Just get out of the way. Stop judging it. Stop thinking it's you. Stop thinking you're a healer. Stop thinking that you're this unicorn, this goddess, this god. Get your ego out of it. It's not you doing any of it. And when you get your ego out of it, you realize that I'm no better than anybody else. They're no better than me. I don't have to call myself a god or even spiritual or anything, because I love myself exactly as I am. Sadhguru also talks about that. He has a lot of great knowledge. I prefer the practices of Atma Kriya Yoga from Paramahamsa Viswananda. But Sadhguru has some amazing things. He says, once you realize that you are ordinary, we're all divine beings. And just because I've done a little bit of work on myself doesn't make me better than somebody else. Everybody has equal gifts. We're all divine beings. And once you have that realization, you realize that you're ordinary. I'm just ordinary. I don't need to be special to love myself. I don't need to be a multimillionaire to love myself. I don't need to, have a Ferrari in order to love myself. I don't have to pretend that I'm more spiritual than somebody else to love myself. I don't have to believe that I'm above people to love myself. We're all on the same level. And can you love yourself when you're ordinary? I'm ordinary. And I'm beautiful. And you're ordinary and you're beautiful. And everybody's ordinary. We're all divine beings. I'm not a divine being and you are not. Or they are a divine being and I'm not. We all are. So if we're all divine beings, how can somebody be better than somebody else? We're all equal. And I love my tangents. I'm going on tangents right now. But again, stop reinventing the wheel. Pick a practice that you get initiated into. It doesn't go against your religion. It's about self-realization. It's about purifying. It actually makes you better, more into your religion. It increases your connection to God. It'll enhance. I see, that's one problem I see with Christianity, which I love Jesus. I'm wearing a cross right now. It's under my shirt. I love Jesus. But people go to church and that's it. And that's great because they will receive grace. But we need to work on the body as well, and on the mind and on the energetic body. We need to do that to enhance our relationship to God. It doesn't conflict at all. It's not a salvation model like Christianity is, where in order to be saved you have to follow Jesus. These practices, and even it's not Hinduism, it's called Sanatana Dharma. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's based on self-realization. It's not based on a salvation model where you have to do this and you can't do anything else. And you have to follow this or else you're going to hell. No. It's just you do these practices, you do these mantras, you do these things that purify your body, makes you more connected to God, helps and enhances your own religion. And then lastly, it's not you doing any of it. It's God doing it. Get your ego out of the way. It's not you. It's not me. It's just freaking follow your heart. That's it. I love you all, and I hope you got something out of this.